And we are the good doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Hinson.
I'm Dr. Donnelly.
And we're back with our continuing coverage of The Handmaid's Tale. We're catching up, kids. We're up to episode 6. It's time to talk about household. Again, so many thoughts and feelings about this one. I'm going to do the summary, and we're just going to kind of talk through what happens in the episode. Neither of us have really big chunks of either incarceration or religiosity or U2 songs to rant about. So we're just going to talk through as we go. So we're picking up right where we left off. June is told she has to go on a trip with the Waterfords to Washington, D.C. for some more political advocacy to try and get baby Nicole back.
I liked a lot of her voiceovers here and some of her prayers and how she was kind of continuing to co-opt and the new Gilead version of scripture.
Yeah.
Whatever she was raised with and then her own lived experience. I liked a lot of the phraseology of her voiceover here.
Yeah. I think it was really illustrative. And as always, June's internal monologue helps us understand where she is and where she's going.
Yeah.
So they're trying to put more public pressure on Canada to try and get baby Nicole back. June, as always, is forced and coerced into these positions because they can always threaten to harm her or harm Hannah.
Yep.
And because she decided to stay and get Hannah out of Gilead, she is always in this position.
Yep.
We get to see how different things are in Washington, y'all.
Holy monkey poo.
What?
Washington.
The Washington Monument is a giant crucifix, and handmaids have their mouths shut.
Not a cross. It's not a crucifix. It's a cross.
What's the difference?
We're going to get comments. It's okay. Crucifix has to have Jesus on it. Cross has no Jesus.
Woo! Just a cross.
Just a cross, but still creepy as fuck.
Still giant ass cross.
Mm-hmm.
So we see, obviously, as the anthropologist, I'm fascinated by the appropriation and the changing of memorials and monuments and how they're used in these new scenarios. And we see that at the end of the episode too, with what has happened to poor Lincoln's head. Handmaids have their mouths covered initially. We then very quickly find out when June gets to Commander Winslow's house and meets the handmaid there that her mouth is sewn shut, which I had to kind of pause the video.
That is an approximation of what my soul was doing when I saw that clip. I was like,
I get really creeped out with like things having to do with like face and neck, like eyes getting gouged out or neck, like throats getting slit. So I had to like cover my mouth for like which is ironic, for a whole minute, because I was just like, no, not my mouth. No, you can't fill my lip. It was so, whoa.
Terrible.
I also wrote down, how does she eat? Like, does she get everything blenderized? Like, what?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, because when your jaw is wired shut for jaw surgery, you just eat everything in a blender.
Yeah,
so
my mom got her jaw broke by a baseball and at a baseball game, and had to like blenderize everything. But, so, you know, we're finding out again from other people that the baby is the only. It was Rita. Yeah. So Serena's Martha. That tells June, I love Rita. And they say, like, I miss you too. And June is like, I can't believe we're doing this. And Rita just looks at her and goes, it's the only thing she ever wanted.
Yep.
Ding, 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 ding. Why didn't June realize this, kids? We don't know. We're going to put a pin in the weird just talk about the Beatitudes now. Where do we get that? When she's kneeling in Washington.
Yeah, so the Beatitudes is a shorthand for a passage in the book of Matthew where Jesus is the Sermon on the Mount. You may have heard of it. You may not have. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But it's a whole string of blessed are the, that's the Beatitudes.
Yeah.
So my favorite rewriting of the Beatitudes, by the way, is by a pastor named Nadia Boltz-Weber, and we'll put it in the show notes for those of you who are of my faith system and want to read them because it's incredible. But this rewriting of the Beatitudes is crap. The New Gilead version is terrible. And the one that really got me was, blessed are the silent, for only they will hear the voice of the Lord.
Huh?
That's a no.
That's not what's in the Bible, kids.
Not in the Bible. Nor can I actually see the God of the Bible saying that. So The new Gilead version of scripture continues to be junk.
Continues to be a whole load of crap. One thing I wrote down, they had gender segregated escalators for the love of all things holy.
That's like Pensacola Christian College where they have gender segregated sidewalks.
Like you can't touch.
Yeah. Color-coded sidewalks.
Color-coded sidewalks. Super. So the Waterfords end up staying with Commander Winslow, which we find out is lovely Christopher Maloney from...
Yeah, I was like, hey, SVU, what's
Hey, Law and Order SVU, what is up? They have a crap ton of children. Half of them are children of color.
So many questions about who they stole these kids from. Also, the mom is Elizabeth Reeser.
Yes.
There are two things you may know her from. Twilight. You also may know her as the girl with no face that Alex Carruth fell in love with in Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, good reference. Deep.
So, yeah, that back when I was still watching Grey's.
Yes. So I literally wrote down June should have known that about Serena. Cool. We meet of George, who is the Winslow's handmaid, and we find out about the sewing of the mouth. Things are very, very much more conservative in DC than they are in Boston. Which means, with the insane conservatism, we also get the closeted homoeroticism. Because let's talk about how Commander Winslow is super into Joseph Fiennes. Super into Fred. And of course, they had to play pool because that is the most phallic sport available in a home setting. Yeah, that's very, very true. So the overarching theme of this episode. Yeah, I was like, oh, we're doing this. Yeah, okay, we're making this call. Super. In all reality, it frustrates me though, because that is a reality in conservative religious circles for sure. That a lot of the most intense persecutors of LGBTQ plus people are in fact themselves LGBTQ plus. But it's also, and so I'm okay giving it to them now because it's Gilead and we're telling that story. But nowhere else is allowed to tell that. We've told that story. It's become a trope now. Yeah. And it does not excuse homophobic bullying. No. And so I don't think that's what they're going to try to do here in Gilead, but I wanted to just say, this is almost the only context in which I'll go, oh, that fits, rather than, oh, for... So... Yeah, because my interpretation of how this is going to be used is that, because then obviously Commander Winslow talks about promoting Commander Waterford, and we could use you here in Washington, and my guess is there's going to be some level of coercion. Oh, 100%, yeah. With sex to elevate, to give him this position, and Fred will do it because Fred wants the power above anything else. Yeah. Conniving little snake-like self. Yep. So we understand that they're there to do more prop videos. Yep. They do the really, really creepy one with the wings that I accidentally talked about in our episode 5 video, which directly references a Game of Thrones episode that these filmmakers would not have seen. So I just want to know why everyone's obsessed with wings. So there's a part it was in the finale, I think, of Game of Thrones. No, penultimate. Oh, really? Either way. Anyway, okay. It was in one of the last few episodes of Game of Thrones where... Oh, no, it was the finale, you're right. Yeah, where, with Daenerys, yeah. Because it was right... Anyway, yeah. So Daenerys walks out and the lone surviving dragon wings come up right behind her, and it's this... She is framed, and she looks like a dragon. So June is framed in this to look like an angel. I don't know. It was weird. It was the exact same shot, and I'm a little creeped out about it, but I digress. If she is supposed to be framed as an angel, let's say they all went to the same, writer's retreat in the Hindu all came up with this. Yeah. It fits for me because angels in scripture, if you don't know, don't play harps and they don't sit around doing nothing. They're avenging creatures. They are there to protect the throne of heaven. They are warriors. Yeah, and they've already shown us that June, the religion in Gilead is the wrong religion, right? They hinted at that a few episodes prior.
Yeah.
And if she, to me, she looked like an avenging angel.
Yeah, and I think that was very intentional. And like, besides it being like, oh, come on now with Daenerys, it real fits for me.
Yeah.
They go on to use it a few too many times in the episode.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't love heavy-handed symbolism, so I'm like, okay, guys, we got it. Thank you.
But I appreciate the metaphor, and I like
it really works.
The first shot of it, I was like, okay, yes.
Got you. Yeah.
Here. I understand what you're saying. So it was very communicative. It's, for me, just the irony that they would use it.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm sure everybody like hung out at Glasto or something last year and all wrote together.
All decided to make this very direct metaphorical link. So we do this propo that's really weird. Nick shows up and we learn that Commander Winslow sent him over, which thinks Commander Winslow knows some things about our Nicholas. And then we, Nick and June, like, have a cute little moment. Isn't that adorable? And then we learn that the Swiss are interceding to be neutral negotiators between the Canadian government and the Waterfords in their complaint about Nicole.
Which is a good reminder that Gilead has so much power. Yeah, I think like up to this point, I was just like, okay, Canada, invade whenever you feckin' want. Like, what's taking you so long? And now with this episode, it's like, oh.
We literally get the phrase, Gilead is a military power.
Yeah.
Somebody says that out loud in this episode, which was very helpful. So that helps us understand where their power is coming from.
Guns.
Guns and nuclear weapons, possibly. They could that's what the colonies are. So maybe that's how they got rid of loads of people.
Guns we don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
So maybe they're like, you know, the North Korea of this scenario, and they could have their finger on a red button, threatening the rest of the world and giving them political legitimacy. I wrote, yes, still hate Fred. That was literally one of my notes. Spineless, selfish, twat.
Yep.
So June decides that she talks to the Swiss and says, if I can get you a commander who will like give you some information, would you let Nicole stay in Canada? Very transactional, as we know our June is, always thinking about her children. And so she meets up with Nick and tries to convince him, you have to do this for Nicole. And she says, this is your one chance to be a father to our daughter, which I thought was really, really powerful. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yep, Nick is on board. He's going to do this. He loves June. He loves that baby.
Let's go, eyebrows. Let's go. This is going to be great.
Eyebrows to save the day. Flash to the next day, where the Swiss ambassador or the Swiss delegate comes over to the Winslows to tell the Waterfords that we're not done negotiating yet. And June confronts Serena and is like, she confronts the
Swiss lady.
The Swiss lady, the delegate. And she says, I don't think you know the history of Commander, whatever his last name is, I don't remember.
Commander Eyebrows.
Commander Eyebrows. She was like, I don't think you can trust him. You don't know everything about his past. And so then she confronts Serena and she's like, what don't I know about Nick? Tell me. And Serena tells him that he was a soldier in the Crusade, which makes sense for what Gilead is, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong,
the first time we've heard it.
That's the first time we've heard this phrase in this show.
Yep.
And so he was like in it from the beginning, like doing lots of things, killed probably lots and lots of people in that crusade, I would imagine. We don't know the details of that, but we do know he is now in this super elevated military position and on a train where he gets saluted by everyone. Presumably this train is going then to Chicago, where we know they are fighting the Americans.
Guys, my heart.
So that was really, really big. And then the last kind of part of the episode was preparing for, and then the final large, giant propaganda film to end all propaganda films. So we start with June having to get dressed for this, and Aunt Lydia comes in to help her get ready. And
that was hard.
It gives her the muzzle. That was really, really hard to watch. That was beautifully acted by those two phenomenal actors. And And June just looks at Aunt Lydia and says, "Do you want us all to be silenced?" And Aunt Lydia says, "No."
And they're both crying and like
starts crying. Really, really emotional. Super symbolic the way they handled it, especially with that bastardized Beatitudes we got at the beginning of the episode.
Like, if that clip is not an Ann Dowd's Emmy reel, I don't know who's editing her Emmy reel. Like,
can I edit your Emmy reel for you and include that scene?
They were both just goddesses. I mean, yeah.
And for me, it's those really simple moments on the show that they're still doing really, really
well. Oh, they do the tiny moments so well. It's the overarching narrative that makes me nervous.
Yeah, same Z's. So then we're at the Lincoln Memorial, which is fascinating to me. He's lost his head. The inscription over the top of him has been like blasted out.
And at one shot, it looks like it got replaced with the tree of Gilead, but I couldn't tell if that was shadows or intentional.
Difficult to see. We see that then, because two of his most famous speeches, including one for the Gettysburg Address and then another address that he made, are on the sides, and in a side angle shot, we get to see that those have been blasted out as well. So, you know us in our research, I looked up what it says just in case anybody else out there doesn't have the inscription above the Lincoln Memorial memorized. So it says,
have it tattooed upon my soul. But like,
I know we've all, part of our like Americanness, right? We all know that. No, I have no idea. So it says, "In this temple, as in the hearts of the people for whom he saved the Union, the memory of Abraham Lincoln is enshrined forever."
Ooh.
So, I mean, I don't think that's anything super symbolic. It's just, you know, they're not going to have any memorial to a person who was responsible for creating America. I thought maybe it said something like super, super relevant, but I can't read any overt symbolism in that, except they just don't want the Union referenced at all. So they have to whitewash everything and pretend it didn't exist. We get a brilliant scene between June and Serena, where they really just gloves off. That was a hockey fight to end all hockey fights.
Yeah, it was.
Verbally. Dr. Donnelly and I both wrote down different lines. So I wrote down, "You will never be free of me until both of my children are safe, and you're small, cruel, and empty."
Yeah, and I wrote down, "You built a whole system to make sure you're never alone, but you will always be alone."
Yeah, so she really comes at Serena for this. This is kind of her last grasp. I literally wrote after that, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Like,
and then I watched the preview of episode 7, because as we're recording this, it is Monday, July the 1st.
Yeah, so episode 7 hasn't dropped yet. Yeah.
And I watched the preview for episode 7 about 3 times and still have no idea where we're going.
Well, I need to watch that preview. Yeah, so for me, symbolically, like, obviously June is still capitulating to the Waterfords, but I thought it was really, really powerful that she hesitated to kneel.
Yeah.
And that when she did, all the other handmaids followed her.
Yeah, they said that earlier, that she had to do it because she was like the head handmaid now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're also elevating the international narrative of Gilead is now hanging on the Waterford family, which in terms of optics, I think is also very significant shift in the story.
100%.
So like, it doesn't, I mean, yeah.
And everyone is going to know June's face now.
Yeah.
And like, you can look at that as capitulating, and she has no control, no agency. She's under the command of Commander Waterford.
Yeah.
But for me, I also saw her as a leader of all of those handmaids.
Like, I went back to when she was in the Boston Globe offices.
Yeah.
And thought about how much she was it's deeply implied to us that she was beginning to understand optics and propaganda in a way that Citizen June had not understood before.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's really certainly what's happening.
And if you look at her face, was never a face of capitulation.
No,
in any of those videos.
And there are times that she could be hiding her eyes, and she's not. She's looking dead ahead. Like, almost all the other handmaids keep their head down all the time. Our girl does not. Yeah,
because she puts her head down, I think, in even in that moment when she kneels, and then she looks back up.
And she looks it back up, yeah. So like, she knows She knows what she's doing. The great question of how she has this much power still, because like she's not that fertile. Like, I mean, if she was like of Matthew and like popping them out like, I don't know, a fan fiction character, like I would get it, but she's only had one.
Yeah, and I mean, most of that is because she then stopped having, well, she's had more sex with Nick, though.
Yeah, like that's
conceived. She could be pregnant again.
And like, we don't know when that, because that was one of the other questions. Some review I read, I can't remember, was like, why are we not starting ceremonies again quicker than she did? Like,
I don't think Commander Lawrence ever does ceremonies.
No, not with Commander Lawrence. Even when she was back with the Waterfords at one point, long ago. Like, there's a couple gaps in the story where she should have been being forced to have ceremonies, and like,
yeah, it's interesting. So we'll put a pin in June's fertility. She's clearly not going to have any ceremonies with Lawrence, because if he was going to do it already, and they already showed us the Lawrence's willingness to lie about that to Aunt Lydia. So,
and also, I mean, the show can ask me to do a lot of things, but watching Josh Lyman and Zoe Bartlett get it on is going to be it's just going to be a bridge too far, guys.
Please don't make me do it. Please. Talk about intersecting fandoms. No. I'm happy for the West Wing reunion, but that's where it stops, everybody.
Yeah. I'm happy for them both to continue to earn Emmys with this relationship. I don't need them to have a ceremony. Please, God, no.
Yeah. Whoa, no. But I think that covers everything we wanted to say about Household. Lots of information. I feel like they ratcheted it up. I just the super nerd in me gets really excited anytime we learn more about
Gilead. Yeah, me too. I'm the process person. Like, I don't like, my favorite romance novels are the ones that explain to me how the baking works in the bakery you own, not just that you own the bakery.
Yeah.
So this was a process episode, and I was here for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm super nervous about what's going to happen to baby Nicole, and so help me God if she is forced back into that country.
But again, this goes back to the thing we've been saying for a couple episodes now. How long does this show go?
Right.
Because if we've got 3 more seasons to live through it, she has to go back to Gilead.
Yeah.
If we've got 2 more seasons, maybe not. But like, if we're hanging out here till 2024, then they are going to have to throw her back in Gilead, because what else are they going to do?
Yeah. So what we don't know is if this is a plot device for this season.
Yeah.
Or if this is a plot device for the next 3 seasons, or...
Yeah, 3 seasons in a movie, as they used to say in Community. Yeah, like... Yeah,
we don't know the extent to which they're drawing out any of these storylines, really, but particularly since this is a new storyline they've introduced this season. And they've been pretty cohesive in the storylines they introduce in each season. If they do, like, a smaller kind of one that moves the story along, and creates some of this process.
Yeah.
We're pretty good at closing those off and just leaving the big existential questions at the end of each season. But we were all, well, not all of us, some of our dedicated commenters and subscribers were not as upset at the last season finale. But Dr. Dolly and I both were. And
we have several friends who were not either. The conversation on our personal Facebook was also fascinating. So,
so we know there's been some mixed reviews about where the last season ended, but boy, I register my yoy. We're technically halfway through this season.
Because there's 13 episodes in this one, y'all.
Yeah, so it's where's the second half going? Question mark. But I think that's all we've got. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. We're really hoping you guys engage with us again on all of these episodes. And we're all caught up now.
Yeah.
Hooray.
So we'll go back to our regularly scheduled posting, where the stuff will post on Mondays.
That's right. So you will hear from us next for episode 7 in whatever form it comes next week. But for now, I'm Dr. Hinton.
I'm Dr. Donnelly.
We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. Everyone have a good day.
We'll see you later.
Bye.